All right, peace, y'all. Here's one. It's a song by the great Billy Joel. And the song is the Ballad of Billy the Kid. And Billy Joel, that is, will sometimes at his concerts talk about how he really fictionalized this song. So, you know, this song is completely historically inaccurate.
I just made all this shit up because it sounded Western. It was an exercise.
It starts off in a town known as Wheeling, West Virginia. Well, Billy the Kid was born as Henry McCarty, I think was his name, and he was born in New York, and then got into some trouble, was an orphan, and moved out to the New Mexico territories, and killed a blacksmith, and then he had to get back and became a part of a feud that was going on, but he was never a bank robber, and he did not rob his way from Utah to Oklahoma, and he wasn't hanged, and he was actually part of a feud going on, and killed a sheriff, and another sheriff back in the Wild West days, Pat Garrett, caught up with him and caught Billy, took him into custody, but Billy escaped and killed 2 deputies on his way out. Pat Garrett took after him 2 months later, finally caught up with Billy and shot him, killed Billy. But that's a pretty good story in and of itself, right? But Billy Joel wrote a good story for this song, you know, and he really talks about it, and I'll post a little film, you know, of Billy talking about how he, you know, created this, you know, epic, and it really does draw from some epic themes of Western movies, really, and the music that made those movies, and what brings to mind the imagery of the great majesty of the West and the cowboys and whatnot, and what it would have been like for somebody like Billy the Kid, who was a somewhat of a misfit, and yeah, outlaw.
A song that's very impressive off that Piano Man album is Billy the Kid.
It's a nonsense song. Musically, it's like a Western movie soundtrack.
Why did you get the opening? How did you get the opening?
You mean the... Right. So that's kind of like, you know, you go into the movies and you see the credits roll down. Randolph Scott, right? Lee Van Cleef, Clint Eastwood, you know. And the theme is kind of like, one of my favorite pieces is the theme for The Magnificent Seven, which is you know that, which they've made into a cigarette commercial now. But the melody was, that could have been a theme to a Western movie soundtrack. So the lyrics to it are all historically inaccurate, but they sound Western, you know, to somebody from New York. Wheeling, West Virginia, sounds like out west, you know, Utah, Oklahoma, Rio Grande. They are impressionistic in a way, but they're all wrong. I mean, they're all totally fabricated out of my imagination. It's not the story of Billy the Kid. It's the ballad of Billy the Kid according to the Book of Joel.
Virginia, came a boy with a 6-gun in his hands, and his daring life of crime made him a legend in his time, east and west of the Rio Grande. But he started with the bank in Colorado. A colt he hid, and his age and his size, it took the teller by surprise, and the word spread of Billy the Kid. Well, he never traveled heavy, yes, he always rode alone, and he soon put many older guns to shame. And he never had a sweetheart, and he never had a home, but the cowboy and the ranchers knew his name. Well, he robbed his way from Utah to Oklahoma, and the law just could not seem to track him down. And it served his legend well, and the folks they love to tell about the time Billy the Kid came to town. One fine day a posse captured Billy, and the judge said to string him up for what he did. And the cowboys and the kin, like the sea, came pouring in to watch the hanging of Billy the Kid. Well, he never traveled heavy, yes, he always rode alone, and he soon put many older guns to shame. His name from a town known as Oyster Bay, Long Island, rode a boy with a six-pack in his hands, and his daring life with crime made him a legend in his time, east and west of the Rio Grande. The Ballad of Billy the Kid, warts and all, everybody.